on blast.
And we are live. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the east end of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. As a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto or give them a call, 416-917-4833 to book your appointments now. I don't know how many times this year I've started this Wrap It Up podcast with the words, what a time to be alive, or Kawhi is the truth, or load management that. But all of those things fit into this right now. I am like, Kawhi Leonard just hit, I'm going to say it, one of the greatest shots in Toronto sports history.
The greatest shot.
It's definitely the best shot in basketball history. Joe Carter will win.
Joe
Carter's
Carter.
always
Joe
going to
Carter.
win, right?
Okay.
He hit a
You said
walk-off
sports.
to win the
You
home
said
run.
sports. You're right.
Joe Carter's always going to win.
Joe Carter wins. Okay.
Kawhi has entered the conversation.
Definitely.
I don't even know, like, I am so rattled right now in this moment because you think about where all these, like, where this all began. First off, Q, what's up? I didn't even introduce Q. See how rattled I am right now, people? Q, what's going on? Say what's up to the people. Let people know how you're feeling in this moment. What was the moment like in this room as Kawhi hit it and it bounced and it was like...
When that shot left his hand,
Yeah.
it didn't even. It was like a curveball.
Yeah.
It came back to the rim.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, overtime,
Yeah.
and then bounce,
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm sorry for what I did to your room right there. I'm sorry. Dude.
The crazy part is off the first bounce, I was like, oh my God, does that still have a chance? And then it bounced again. I was like, oh my God, it's going to roll in. Like, that is just incredible, but it's a testament to me to what Kawhi Leonard is. And this is going to sound cliche, so I apologize, but they tell you just get arc on your shot, shooters roll, and if there's a player that is more fundamentally sound than Kawhi Leonard, I'll wait until you come up with that name. But damn, he just got the shot up. He knew he had to get high arc on it because it's over Joel Embiid. Nothing more Joel Embiid could do on that. He played it perfectly. But it's just what we've seen the whole year, Kawhi getting to a spot, being able to get his shot off, and that's what the NBA is. My best player versus your best player, and who's going to get the better shot. And it was Kawhi Leonard at the end of this. That was incredible. That, like, I feel bad for DeMar DeRozan. I feel bad for anyone who questioned Masai Ujiri going into this. But all we saw, especially in this series of Raptors versus Sixers, is the levels to basketball.
Definitely.
They're star players, and Kyle Lowry said it. They're star players and they're superstar players. And that was a superstar play by Kawhi Leonard.
As somebody who initially questioned that trade, I remember what I've said on this show plenty of times is, he's got to take us to the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
And not just that shot, just the whole series, he's brought us there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm eating my words. And the shot put it over the top because I'm still here wondering how you get that shot off.
Yeah.
And you're fading to your right, lean, fade away shot. Somehow the ball has the right spin on it to make it to curve back into the rim.
Yeah.
Then to have the sweet touch to just caress the rim.
Yeah.
And bounce the right way.
Yeah. But again, right? I know this sounds like I'm oversimplifying what Kawhi Leonard does on the basketball floor, but you can tell it's all just repetition. Mm-hmm. It's all practice. He's just in the gym and he's trying to get to his spot. Mm-hmm. And once he gets to his spot, it's a wrap. Do you know, like, there's just nothing, like, it's just make or miss at that point. And it takes us back to, you got to remember, to start the year, there were multiple times where Kawhi Leonard had a chance to win the game early on. And remember, he dribbled it off his leg in one game. Yeah. He missed a couple shots. And there were people trying to have the conversation about, is Kawhi clutch? Which I found completely ridiculous, as stated at the time. But my biggest point was, he's a legit player. He's a superstar player. And the averages, it's going to average out because he's just that good. Yeah. And it's make or miss, right? He's going to get his shot off. It's just make or miss. So as long as he gets to his spot, it's all good. And you saw that in with this play. And I know, hey, that is somewhat, there's going to be people, you're going to look at it and be like, oh, that's a fluke shot or whatever, right? And I understand how you might have that argument. Like, I get someone saying that. Yeah. But it's just trusting in your game. It's trusting in your work that if you get to your spots and you can get your shot off, it's make or miss. That's just hours in the gym of repetition. And for Kawhi Leonard, someone chimes in here on Twitter. Again, first off, shout out to the people tuning in live on Twitter and Instagram at Shell Alexander. Shout out to the people on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in to us once again here on the Wrap It Up podcast. But someone chimes in on Twitter, and the comment, Gordon says, Kawhi is very emotional talking about what happened between last season and this season. That's a great point, right? Like, we've always been looking at this from the Raptors standpoint in terms of, hey, you know, we only have 1 year to try to convince him to stay. And we're looking at it from our perspective of, oh, we want him to stay. We need him to stay, blah, blah. But looking at things from Kawhi Leonard's perspective in the sense that this was a guy, he played, 9 games last year? And then he misses the postseason. If you go back to him crushing the Warriors that year before he got hurt, and then to have that long road leading up to this year to where he ends up in Toronto. Who knows what his actual thoughts were coming in? We don't know. We'll never know. Of course. But it probably wasn't an ideal situation for him. But yet, he came in, he did his work, he did everything. He trusted the team, he trusted the medical staff, and the relationship worked out. And with this load management thing, this is the biggest part. Because as much as people complained about load management, that's what load management was for. Right? Because down the stretch in this game, it's just all Kawhi versus Jimmy Butler. That's it. Yep. So do you want to waste minutes? Do you want to waste his energy in game 32 against the Magic? Yeah. Or do you want him to have enough juice to carry your team? Because that's what he did with 41 points in this game. And
no, because we were talking about this earlier. I remember a stat sometime in the third quarter, and Kawhi, I think, at that point was at 21 points. And then he hits a shot, and all of a sudden Matt Devlin says, Kawhi with 36, and we looked at each other like, how did that happen? Then we looked at the score, and we thought, well, nobody else is scoring, and so somehow they went from 80 to 90. Yeah. It was all Kawhi.
It was all Kawhi.
A quiet, well, except for that last shot. So he had a quiet 39 and a very loud 2.
The thing was, he was missing a lot of shots. I mean, Kawhi went 16 for 39 in this game for his 41 points, okay? Yeah. He put up 39 shots, and I don't even care. Empty the full clip. This is why we got you, right? This is why you're here, emptying the full clip. That, my friend, is just an incredible moment to see because as sports fans, right? We love sports. We ride the highs and lows. I was a wreck at work. People were laughing at me because they're like, yo, dude, after the Raptors lost in game 6, I was a wreck. And that's just the years and years and years when you think about watching this Toronto Raptors team. We saw the interview with Jose Calderon that they had, right? There's been a lot of years watching Jose Calderon's and Andrea Bargnani's and Jamario Moon's and, you know, trying to talk myself into Joey Graham. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of those years. And that's why I was so excited when the Raptors got a guy like Kawhi Leonard because it's like, okay, well, his resume is proven. Yeah. Now we have one of those. We have one of those dudes. Because when you watch how the playoffs are going, it was Steph just being better than James Harden, right? It was Dame Dollar, I mean, not today, CJ, but bottom line, their star players being their star players. Right. And when you look, you know what Giannis is doing already. But when you think about the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs, we haven't had those moments yet since Vince, where a star player is saying, has said, I am not losing this game. Just jump on my back. I got you. Right. And in this series, that's what Kawhi Leonard did. He went in full beast mode. And early on in the game, even when a shot wasn't falling, his defense was so good. What do you think about his defense on especially Jimmy Butler in this game? Because he kept Jimmy Butler, I don't want to say in check, but Jimmy finished with what in this game? 16 points, 5 of 14 shooting? Okay, in check, I'll say in check.
So
how big is that?
That is, I mean, of course, that's big. Because really, when it comes to Philly, it was Jimmy Butler was their best player. Whether anybody else sees that, and I know this the process, and Ben Simmons #1 pick, and
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler is the best player on that team, and they don't even make it to Game 7 without Jimmy Butler.
They don't.
Right? So making that switch to put Kawhi from jump, right? Again, your best player against their best player,
Yeah.
which, in years past hasn't been the case,
Nope.
right? So to have that and to watch, like, again, you just said it, right? It was 41 points to 16, right? After Jimmy Butler pretty much killed us the last 2 games,
He
right?
definitely did.
So
Since game 1, Jimmy Butler's been
yeah.
their highest scorer in every single game,
Yeah.
right? And the thing too that is very interesting as you bring that up is Jimmy Butler. So I want to get this right, but I feel like Jimmy Butler, Kawhi went off, and then after that, they took Jimmy Butler off of Kawhi, let Simmons guard him, which kind of seemed to free Jimmy Butler up. And then you look at the rest of the games, Jimmy Butler in this series, I'm trying to see the whole thing here, and of course my computer's messing up. But Jimmy Butler, I'm pretty sure, scored over 20 points for every game after that, right? Yeah. And you're looking at Jimmy Butler. So he had 10 in game 1. Then in game 2 comes out with 30. Game 3, 22. Game 4, 29. Game 5, 22. Game 6, 25. Right? So he definitely was a factor and leading scorer for their team.
Yeah.
They realized that their offense was better suited with Jimmy cooking. And hey, we talked about the playoffs being all about adjustments.
Right.
And Brett Brown, you mentioned Brett Brown doing a great job calling timeouts, stopping the Raptors' runs at great points.
Yes.
Sixers
Definitely.
being able to answer back. How big was that during this game, just in terms of the Raptors started to get a little bit of light?
Yeah.
And then Brett Brown's like, nope, not having it. Timeout.
Yeah, Brett Brown was like, 2, maximum 3 possessions in a row.
Yeah.
Where the Raptors would score on their possession and Philly wouldn't on theirs.
Yeah.
Timeout.
Yeah.
Right? So there was never a point where, unless the Raptors come out of that timeout and are just killing it, and this is all through the series, except for maybe, what was that, game 4, where the Raptors just tore them apart.
Yeah.
But every other time, it was like, Raptors get a wide open shot, timeout. We got to talk about this. And then now we're running a play out of that timeout because we have to stop this run. Yeah. Kyle Lowry you made the point where it seems like every time Kyle Lowry hits one of his shots, right, it's timeout. We got to work on this.
I felt like in this whole series, Brett Brown was like, our goal is to not let Kyle Lowry get off.
Yeah.
Because every time Lowry hit a 3, right, or made like 2 good plays in a row, it was just boom. Timeout, Sixers.
Yeah.
But Brett Brown did a great job in calling timeouts, but we got to give a lot of credit to Nick Nurse because he was taking a lot of flack for how he was kept using his bench, some of the rotations he would have in terms of resting Kawhi at certain points. But he has to get huge marks for the adjustment that he made in terms of just riding Serge Ibaka during this game. And basically the decision was Serge Ibaka getting the minutes and Danny Green not getting the minutes.
Right.
And hey, in a game that was, especially after game 6, where the Raptors were getting beaten to loose balls, beaten on the boards, those 50-50 plays, as coaches like to call them, Serge Ibaka came in the lineup tonight and made all those plays and hit 3s. What was Serge? What did you call Serge midway while we were watching this game?
Serge was the MVP of this. No,
Kawhi, we know. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Remember now, I said this before the shot, right? But
I know what you're saying.
When you
X factor.
so when he was the X factor. So when you're coming in and you think, okay, Kawhi's gonna get his, where's this help coming from?
Yeah.
And today it was Serge.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just hitting. I think he hit three threes on the game, I believe it was. But it was also offensive rebounds. It was defensive plays. He was, at one point he was even guarding Ben Simmons on the perimeter, and Ben Simmons was, invisible.
Yeah.
Right in the fourth quarter, you have Serge Ibaka guarding Ben Simmons.
That's massive.
On the perimeter, and Ben Simmons is not doing anything. Ben Simmons barely touched the ball.
Yep.
Right? So it just shows, right? And then again, you were talking about Nick Nurse, and I think one of the good things was when he went big, right? And now Serge is now playing the 4, right?
Siakam playing the 3, Kawhi at the 2.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it helps Serge because now he's the help defender.
Yeah.
Right? So now he's which is where he used to get all of his when he was playing in OKC and that's where he used to get all his blocks, was coming over, second defender, boom, getting the block shots. And he was more active on the defensive end. And then, I mean, if you don't have Embiid on you, who do you have? You have Tobias Harris, and now you're effective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Serge, you're right. Serge is the X factor in this game because he brought that energy. He was making the hustle plays. The Raptors had, I want to say, 16 offensive rebounds in this game. And Serge Ibaka was just all over the place. 17 points in this game. He was the second leading scorer on the Raptors behind Kawhi Leonard.
Off the bench. And that's big because the bench has been invisible for most of this series.
And you get 29 minutes from Serge in this game. Danny Green played 30. And you talk about the bench. Van Fleet gave better minutes. I'm not going to say good or great minutes, but he gave okay minutes.
Yeah.
He brought energy.
He wasn't a liability, I think.
Exactly.
Right?
But he made a couple plays on defense.
Right. Yeah.
Came up big with a couple steals. He was aggressive in driving to the basket and getting to the line, which when we were talking about what was going on with the Sixers and what they were getting from James Ennis and Mike Scott off their bench, it was just activity.
Exactly.
Those guys were they came in ready to play. They came in to contribute. They weren't just running suicides up and down the floor.
Right.
And you got that from the Raptors in this game. Serge Ibaka, again, it's not really stuff that's always going to show up on the box score. I know he had 17 points, and that's big. 8 rebounds is big, but it was the timely rebounds. It was Serge giving the Raptors someone other than Kawhi. Serge was 3 of 5. He hit the most threes in this game.
Yeah. And then when you look, you know, the Raptors felt confident throwing it into him in the post. There was times where off the switch he would have Jimmy Butler on him, which is a mismatch.
Yeah.
And he would just turn and go. Right? No hesitation. He wasn't trying to take him out to the perimeter and play perimeter Serge.
Yeah.
He was, I'm backing you down. I'm in the post. I got a smaller guy on me. I'm going up strong.
Yeah. And the thing, too, is the adjustment that changed the series from the beginning was when Brett Brown decided, hey, I'm going to play Joel Embiid on Siakam, sag off of him. And Siakam never really adjusted. Like, he still had solid games, but I don't know if he fully adjusted to the matchup of having Embiid on him. Like, it was still him doing a great job of making tough shots, but it was still a great adjustment by Brett Brown. And I think for Nurse to come up with this counter and say, okay, well, we're just going to go supersized. And now, if you want to run everything through Jimmy Butler, cool. But you saw how well the Raptors did, or the job the Raptors did in terms of playing that, where when it was a screen and roll, they said, okay, well, they tried to run the screen and roll with Redick. And no matter what, if it was with Gasol and Gasol was involved in that action, he's blitzing the screener, he's blitzing Redick coming across or Jimmy Butler and saying, okay, force it, the pass to Embiid. But the Raptors had their rotations working great in this game. And Embiid was either you let him shoot the open three, and if it goes in, whatever, you live with the percentages, or they play defense. And the Raptors' defensive adjustments in this game was so good. And it was just a great, got to give credit to Nick Nurse because he took a lot of flack. Hey, I was giving him a lot of flack for certain things that were going on in this game, but a great job by Nick Nurse. But we got to hear from you guys right now because this is amazing. This, like, you start a project like this and you wonder, oh, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like? I don't know. Are people going to respond? Are people going to rock with it? And I can't lie to you guys, man. The feedback has been tremendous. So really appreciate you guys tuning in. Let's get to some of the comments now. And first off, there's just a bunch of people just chiming in. There's a lot of let's fucking goes just in the Instagram chat. A lot of Raptors win, Raptors win, Raptors win. Austin chimes in and says that's why Kawhi is a superstar. Lions Showtime says like a Matrix shot. I mean,
no, if you can watch when the ball hits the rim, it looks like it was going out and comes back in. It was, you got to watch that. You just watch the ball the whole time during that shot in slow motion and tell me if that, you're right. Matrix. So magic, whatever it was.
Got to give them credit.
Basketball gods, they were on our side today.
So, you know what's so crazy? And this just hit me right now. Last night was my buddy Goodale's birthday, and a bunch of us were out, and one of my boys, Mike, was going to the game today. And we're just talking about, like, I'm like, oh, I kind of want to go to the game, but at the same time, I don't know if I can handle it. I'll be mad stressed. And I want to do the pod, like, right after, too, just in case. But we were talking about going to the game. And no word of a lie, I'm going to call up when I've done this podcast. Mike said, he's like, yeah, you know, it's tough, but at the end of the day, that's why we love sports, because there could be moments where you're like, hey, I was at that game. And he brought up the bat flip game, which we were both at, and we were talking about it. And he's like, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, they could lose and it could be a tough loss, but there also could be some crazy moment where you're just like, I am so glad I went to this game because it's the most incredible thing ever. That's what he said last night.
Sorry,
And I can't even think that
they're
he
showing the
imagined
replay
that.
on the shot, and I just the bounces off the rim don't make sense to me.
It's shooters
Like
roll, man.
the laws of physics just walked out of the ACC and said, "Kawhi, here you go."
The shooters roll, man. Shooters roll. Let's see. Let's get some more comments. Brenton just says greatness. Um, Alex says, I think the people that questioned you saying just enjoy the season of Kawhi can shut the fuck up now. Hey,
much, yeah,
it has been a theme, right? From the start of the year, I've been saying enjoy watching a superstar in your uniform.
Yeah.
Because what this man did, how many times did he just hit a tough shot? Though even the shot, remember, it was out of a timeout, and he came across the screen and just hit a shot over Embiid, and they thought it was a 3, but it ended up being a 2.
Yeah.
But how many shots he hit, and we just sort of looked at each other like, wow, like the Raptors should lose this game.
Yeah.
Like the Sixers were up at certain points in the fourth quarter, and I just looked over at you. I'm like, I don't think this is going to go well at all.
And I know somebody who was it? Was it Jalen who compared him to Mike?
Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins.
Yeah.
In this game and throughout this series, now I'm not saying I'm a big Mike fan, so I refuse to say anybody is Mike. And anybody who's ever been compared to Mike, I've instantly been a hater of them. But when you're watching, like, Mike just always seemed to know where the rim was. Mm-hmm. He didn't even really need to look at it. He just knew where the rim was. Mm-hmm. And I think Kawhi, some of the shots that he was making over 7'2" Embiid, fadeaways,
crazy.
Just like you just know where the rim is and you put in the ball towards it.
Yeah.
And it just looked like it shots really and truly like you're like you probably shouldn't take that shot. It's not a good percentage wise. It's not a good basketball possession. And then the wall just goes swish and you're like, oh, okay, it's Kawhi.
It's funny too, right? Because about the Kendrick Perkins thing, we talked about it on that pod whenever that was during the series, and the thing was that, what happens in this era is you see the Instagram post or you see the tweet and it just says Kendrick Perkins compares Kawhi to Michael Jordan and everyone starts
jumps
dissing
on
him.
it.
But instead of listening to what he was actually saying, and the point that he was trying to make was nobody's Mike. He even said that. That was in the snippet that was there.
Yeah.
But he said in terms of being able to get to his spots and his post moves, it's just, you can tell. It's just getting to his spots and he can get a shot off. And you haven't seen someone be able to do that while also dominating on the defensive end of the floor since Mike. Yeah. That's what Kendrick Perkins was saying. Yeah. And it's so true when you're able to watch just how he kept the Raptors in the game, even though his shot wasn't falling early, where he came over, stripped Embiid on the blind side. Embiid didn't even see him coming, strip, dunk. He had Jimmy Butler trying to fight over a pick and roll, steals it off Jimmy Butler, dunk. Yeah. Those are plays where the one reason why the Raptors always have a chance is because now you have guys who decide they can make possessions, big time plays on the defensive end. And our mentality, because basketball, it's who scores the most. Right. We always look at it from that end, right? Like who's scoring. But the job that Marc Gasol did, and I know his shooting wasn't great at all. He hit one big 3 in this game. He had a couple shots in. The numbers weren't great. But the fact that Marc Gasol was basically able to slow down Joel Embiid in this whole series is incredible. Because people think, I had people, and I know some people are going to think this is crazy. There are people in the comments still talking about JV, right? And how should they have traded Gasol? Gasol's not scoring, all that stuff, right? And cool, he's not scoring. But if he's slowing Embiid down from scoring, you much rather have that than you have JV trading baskets with Joel Embiid.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
Because what was the most annoying part of the series from Embiid's point? He gets a couple shots in, he starts doing the wave, he's getting all hyped up. Now the other guys are feeding off that, but he never really got it going. The stat line's a lie. 21 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He played okay in this game. He hit some shots down the stretch, but he struggled for the most part of this game, for sure. Yeah. And that's a testament to Marc Gasol. So when you look at the Raptors team and you say, well, their 2 best players are Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Kawhi takes out Jimmy. Gasol slows Embiid for the series. And there you have it. That basically was the game. If anyone on the Raptors helped Kawhi, this series is over in 5.
Yeah. I was saying like it never should have went 6 because game 2 all they had to do is hit a couple open shots.
Yeah.
The series is over in 5.
Danny Green misses that shot at the buzzer.
Right? But there was that one at the buzzer, but he missed a couple others. Gasol missed some open shots. Siakam missed some open shots during the game, like wide open.
Yeah.
Ball in rotation. It's the way it was drawn up. There's no defender near you, and you just brick the shot. Right.
Yeah.
You make a couple of those during that game, the series is over in 5. Right.
Yeah.
And then when you say like today, Kawhi outdid both Jimmy and Embiid, right, in terms of numbers, and it's just I have to say this. Coming into it, like obviously we don't get to see a lot of San Antonio games, right? I knew he was good. I didn't know. Like even watching him during the season, it's like okay, yeah, good. He's a good player. He's top 5, top 10 in the league, whatever. What I just seen over these last 7 games, top 3, and on any given night he's won because of what he can do on the defensive end.
We were talking about this a while ago, right? And it was, I forget which game it was. It was probably after game 4 where he was averaging, I think through the first 4 games, the numbers were 38 points on 62% shooting. I think that's what it was. And he's a perimeter player, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about how many dudes do you take over Kawhi Leonard? That was a conversation. In the NBA right now, how many dudes do you take over Kawhi Leonard? And I was saying, I'm not going past 3. Like, I won't even argue past 3, and I might say 2. Right. And people are looking at me crazy, like, you're a prisoner of the moment, which cool. I understand that. But I obviously doing this podcast, I watched every single Raptor game this year, or maybe missed 2. But for the most part, I'm talking about like sat down and took in every game. And the one thing I realized in terms of Kawhi Leonard this season with the load management stuff, cool. Obviously, that means he's not playing. There were still games, though, where he played, but you could tell like, it was a gym run, right? Like he's not going full tilt. And then there were games where, they're playing Golden State and him and KD went toe to toe. And I was like, that game. Okay. Like there's a different speed that Kawhi was playing at. Right. And so seeing that, I was like, wow, that's kind of scary. And then you were wondering, when's he going to play on back-to-backs? When's this going to happen? When's that going to happen? And then I keep pointing to this spot in the season. But when he admitted and he said, the regular season is just 82 practices, and the playoffs is when I'll really lace them up. Yeah. When he actually said that, I went, whoa. Because for a dude to actually admit that is one thing, but now you got to back that up, right? Like you can't just say that, and he's not that dude, right? Like he's not Embiid that's just out here talking trash. Shit, exactly, so you know that he's not really talking trash. He probably just said it kind of off the cuff, but that's how he really feels. But when I heard that, I was like, okay, damn. And then you look at this Philly series, and again, the Raptors did not help Kawhi Leonard much in this series. No. But you're talking about game 1, 45 points on 16 of 23 shooting. Okay?
Yep.
Game 2, 35 points on 13 of 24 shooting. Game 3, 33 points on 13 of 22. Game 4, 39 points on 13 of 20 shooting. That's 65% for those keeping score at home, and 5 threes. Yeah. Game 5, 21 points on 7 of 16 shooting. That was his down game, I guess, right? Raptors blowout win. Everyone came to help. Now, game 6, 9 of 20, 29 points from Kawhi. And we talked about the stat sheet kind of looking pretty bad for him in that game, but he still gutted out 29 points. Raptors blowout loss. But now my guy comes back in game 7, and everyone was tight to start this game. Everyone was missing shots, Kawhi Leonard included. And then you look up, and yes, he hits a game-winning shot. But you look up, you know he's dog-tired because he's been running around guarding Jimmy Butler for 43 minutes in the game. And you see the steals in this game because he had 3 steals in the game. And my guy hits a game-winning shot, cool, but he still puts up 41 points on 16 of 39 shooting. That's still 41%.
Yep.
right? Like, for as crazy as it sounds that he shot 39 times and went 16 of 39, he still shot 41% in the game. So you look at the entire conference semifinals, and my guy shoots 54% and averages 34 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists. Like,
those are Shaq numbers. Those are Shaq numbers. Like it's that's not what your small forward is supposed to do. Shooting from the perimeter.
It's stupid. It's really
right?
dumb. It's really dumb. Yo,
yeah. There's. I mean, the thing is he did it against Philly.
Yeah.
Who has 4 all-star players, right?
All-star caliber players.
All-star caliber players, right? Jimmy Butler is a premier defender in the league.
Yep.
Now, Ben Simmons is not a premier defender, but Ben Simmons is 6'10", 250.
Yo,
you know?
I feel bad for Ben Simmons because he did all he could.
Yeah.
Like, he guarded Kawhi hard.
Right.
But just...
Even on... And then he's driving... Kawhi was driving to the basket and throwing down dunks over a 7-foot shot blocker. Embiid is a shot blocker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like it was a 7-foot European who just shoots. He's a shot blocker.
My dude.
And it just seemed like. And then there's Tobias Harris, who again, maybe not a premier defender, but he's still an all-star caliber player.
Yeah.
Right. And what is Tobias Harris? 6'9", 6'10" himself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you threw at him, he put in work. Right. Like we've seen a lot of good playoff performances, but not where it's one guy against 4 all-stars down there by himself.
Yeah. Because, yes, Kyle Lowry is an all-star, but if you're paying attention, we know you're going to get something from Kyle Lowry, but it's not going to be what you think you're getting from a typical all-star. We know that. Gasol isn't Gasol, the same Gasol that he is, but also I'm totally fine with the fact that his job was to neutralize Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at Gasol.
Siakam's up and coming. Siakam had... I think game 1, game 2, he put in some work. Mm-hmm. But then the last couple games, Siakam wasn't the same Siakam.
No.
Right? No. So he's not at that level yet.
No.
He's on the pace to be there. He's on the right trajectory, but he's not there yet.
And also too, it's just a reminder of, there's levels to this shit.
Exactly.
I know it's a Meek Mill song that I enjoy and I say it all the time and stealing the line, but it's real spit. Like Pascal Siakam, he's a good player. He's getting there. Yeah. But the thing that people keep, like the reminder that Kawhi gave us all, because people are like, oh, well, if Kawhi leaves, we could just build around Siakam. It's like, it's not that easy, right? And like, what is Siakam? We don't really know. Shouts to our boy Boogie. Boogie always texts me all the time, and he's like, Siakam's nice, but he says, I wonder what's going to happen when he actually learns how to play basketball. Because right now he's just doing it all athleticism and quickness, and that's his game, and it's incredible how good he's been in doing that, but we know he's not there
there yet.
In the playoffs, it's just another level, and if people watched the Portland game earlier, right, you kind of saw it there where, same thing, Jokic, that's back-to-back big games that Jokic missed huge, massive free throws in the moment, and so there's a difference between the regular season and the playoffs.
Well, I mean,
right?
I mean, today's game is the perfect example. Kawhi puts in 41 points. It's a game 7, right? And name one player in the NBA who is, or in NBA history, who has been in the conversation of being one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Who doesn't show up in game 7s, right? And when you look, right, and I'm talking about actually showing up on the scorecard, not just like Kyle made some great plays today. Gasol obviously made some great plays today, but our second best player on the floor was Serge Ibaka. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Siakam is not. He's again up and coming. It's only his 3rd year in the league. He's only been playing basketball for 6 years or whatever it is. So he might get there one day.
Yeah.
Right. He's got that work ethic. He's got the athleticism aside. He'll get there one day. But as of right now, he's not there yet.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is, and Kawhi, we're seeing it, but I always like this quote from LeBron James, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I'm not remembering exactly what it is, but it always stuck with me. And I remember it was after, I want to say the Cavs won Game 7 in Boston last year to get to the finals. And they asked, like, how does LeBron come up with these performances, in taking that team to the finals, right? Because remember, it was just all LeBron all the time. And I remember he said, he's like, I put hours and hours and hours, and I'm paraphrasing the quote, but essentially it was, I put hours and hours of work into this. And so at the end of the day, you go out and play and you trust the results. I trust the work that I put in, right? That at the end of the day, when we play the game, I'll trust the results. And I always thought like that makes, and it's LeBron's. And I know I'm looking at your face right now as I'm reading that because people think LeBron's always talking smack, whatever. Yeah. But that's just real shit. And I'm thinking that and applying it to Kawhi Leonard because he was missing so many shots early, but he just kept shooting. Yeah. And that's all it is because you trust the work that you put in. So you don't stop shooting. You don't get discouraged.
But even the famous quote from Jordan, right? I've missed 1,000,000 shots so I can make those ones, right?
Exactly. So that's why I succeed. Yeah. Yes. And hey, we talk about Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry in this game, 10 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals in this game. He was 4 of 13, 1 of 7 from 3. Stat line's not going to show that Kyle Lowry had a good game.
Steals,
I understand
charges.
Kyle Lowry came up massive. He took a huge charge on Embiid late.
Yep.
Those are the Kyle Lowry plays. Kyle Lowry, while the Raptors were on a crazy defensive possession where they were switching everything and everyone was double teaming, and then they made the pass to Joel Embiid. Yep. He jumped in the passing lane, got the steal, fed Siakam for a layup that gave the Raptors a big lead at the. I think that took the lead from. I think it made it a 2-possession game.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just those little things that Kyle Lowry does that, as long as we figured out over the past years of this Raptors team, he probably can't be your best player. He can't be your second best player.
Right.
But if he's in that 3-4 range, right? Like he can be a good starting point guard on a team. Yeah. But you need to have those other dudes. And then it shows up in the box score when you see him doing all these other little things.
And then when he does those other things, when he's able to take those charges and get those steals and make those good passes, he always seems to complement that with a timely 3-point shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, even you said that Kyle's going to win this game. You thought Kyle was taking that last shot.
I thought Kyle was going to take the last shot. I really did think that.
And we'd probably still be sitting here amazed and because that's what he does. When he's active on the defensive end and he's not getting too because you don't need him to make shots.
Yeah.
Right? So the pressure's off of him. So he's 1 for 7 from 3.
You need him to just shoot.
But that one is a good
that was a big 3 at the time. They called the timeout because it was a part of a run. Yeah, you're right.
So he does those things.
Yeah.
So the points complements the other things that he does.
Yeah, and shout out to McCall. McCall brought this up the other day, but I wonder if because you see Kyle Lowry sometimes and he gets very caught up in the refs.
Yeah.
Right. And you notice there was a moment, and I don't know when this came in the middle of the series, but you could see there was a drastic shift in terms of how much Kyle Lowry was chirping, going back and forth with the refs, and also doing his flopping at the rim, just blatantly trying to get the call. You see him try it maybe once or twice and then realize they're not calling it, and then he's not doing it anymore, and he's not barking at the refs nearly as much as we've become accustomed to. But to me, I think Kyle Lowry did what he needed to do, and this was a grinded out series. And the part that we need to big up a lot more. The Sixers are a good team.
They're a good team,
right? Jimmy Butler is, there's going to be teams trying to throw max money at Jimmy Butler. Ben Simmons is about to drop and get a max deal himself.
Yep.
Embiid is one of the best big men in the league. Tobias Harris, as you mentioned, was a borderline all-star in the West. Right? So they're a good team. And I don't know if history, because we're so engulfed in each and every game, I don't know if there was a moment there for Raptors fans especially to take a step back and realize the Sixers are a good team. And I only bring up the Leafs in this instance for, the Leafs lose to Boston, but Boston's a really good team. We're not really talking about that and being the Leafs lost again in the first round. It's but Boston's really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's not taking all of the effort or all of the praise or I guess the crushing of the Leafs for losing in the first round. But there was always a part of me that was damn, Jimmy could just win Game 7 on his own. And then you kind of tip your cap to them because, hey, they have really good players.
Yeah.
If you say the Raptors have the best player with Kawhi, who's next, right? You're probably aren't you going Jimmy, Embiid, Simmons before you get to Siakam?
Yeah, you might even put Tobias in there.
Do you know what I'm saying, though, right? And
he averaged 20+ points in the West, right? So, yeah, that's starting lineup. And then, I mean, I'm not putting Redick in there, but he doesn't
player. He's a
Doesn't
solid
miss
player
shots.
for sure. Let's get to some more comments here. Someone says on Instagram, dude, been watching sports for so long. I've never had goosebumps run through my body the way they did after that shot. Len says, we just witnessed greatness. Someone says, Coach Los Flores says, fuck VC fam.
Well, I was just saying, like everybody today was on that. The last time the Raptors had a Game 7, it was against Philly, and Vince went to his graduation, and I just said, like, first off, one, Kawhi doesn't have no graduation scheduled, right? Like we would have known that already. Two, there's no Iverson on the other side.
Yeah.
Again, four great players, good players.
Yeah.
Right, borderline all-stars, but none of them are Iverson.
Yeah.
So it's not the same thing. It's just the same two cities.
Same two cities.
That's
and
it.
Shouts to Bellomo, because Bellomo did say right at the end of our Game 6 pod, he said, we have the flashbacks of what happened with Vince, and people are trying to bring up the fact that same two teams. You got people are talking about, the Raptors have a Villanova point guard.
Yeah.
Danny Green went to USC like Vince went to, or UNC, just like Vince went to UNC.
African big man.
Yeah, yes.
Number one point guard who was a number one pick, etc.
All these things people were bringing up. But I remember Belmo said at the very end, he's like, hey, at the end of the day, the Raptors are at home and Kawhi's the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
And both those things proved to be true at the end of the day.
And even the people that believed in that told, well, guess what? Vince missed his shot. Kawhi made his. So either way, Toronto, we came out the winners today.
Yo, man, shouts to Masai. What's Masai thinking right now? Like, I know there's a bunch of talk about Masai could go end up other places, whatever. MLSE, I saw Tenenbaum hugging Kyle Lowry after this game.
Yep.
They need to give that man the bag. Whatever Masai Ujiri wants, if the man wants partnership stakes in MLSE, they need to give that man whatever he wants to stay. Because there are not many dudes or just people in front offices, because, it's 2019. Yeah. There's, Jeannie Buss is trying to run a legit organization over in the Lakers lands, right?
Right, yeah.
But my point is, yes. My point is, though, there's not many people that would have the guts to say, I'm going to fire the coach of the year, get rid of the face of my franchise, and take a chance on a dude that, as reports indicated, didn't really want to come here, or there was uncertainty, mass uncertainty.
Still uncertainty.
Yeah. And he said, you know what? Let's roll the dice for 1 year, and we need a change. We're trying to win championships. And I'll go back to Masai Ujiri on the media day, the introduction. And someone asked a question about Kawhi staying or superstars wanting to leave or stay. And I remember Masai jumping in and saying, no. We're past that. That's old. That people don't want to come to Toronto stuff. No, believe in Toronto. Like, we're trying to win championships. Yeah. He had the dream, the vision to say, no, we want more. We deserve more. The fan base deserves more. Why can't it be us getting the LeBron plays, the LeBronto plays, giving those to the other teams?
Yeah.
And here we are. All of those things. LeBronto key. We were sitting here last year after LeBronto.
Kawhi Philadelphia. I seen a post somewhere where a man said Kawhi Philadelphia. So I mean, Larry Tenenbaum needs to have 2 checks written out and signed.
Okay.
Just waiting for them to be accepted. One to Kawhi for $190 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, that should come with some type of ownership stake. Something. Shares in the 11 restaurant, whatever he has to do. Yeah. Right? And Masai. Mm-hmm. Right? And again, I am one of those who was critical of the trade when first hearing about it. Mm-hmm. Like I said at the top of the show, I'm eating my words because I just witnessed what I just witnessed, and I'm just like.
The one thing I will say, Q, and as someone like, hey, I was on board at the trade from get-go, but I will say I understand kind of what you're saying, because as good as I thought Kawhi Leonard was, he's outplayed that for me.
Oh, by far.
Right? Like, I knew how good he was, but I didn't realize that, he's basically unstoppable. Like, his mentality, because you saw it in this game. His mentality is, I can get my shot off whenever I want. And I didn't know he was that good. Yeah. And add that to the defense, seeing that, at multiple times show up during this year, where I always point back to the DeMar DeRozan steal at half court, getting that game-winning dunk. But even eliminating Ben Simmons from this series for the most part, right? Yeah. Like, seeing what he did defensively. His 3-point shot, I didn't know his 3 was that wet. Yeah. So I understand on a level what you're saying in terms of like, okay, cool. Like if we had known that Kawhi was this good,
Yeah.
there'd be nobody that was questioning,
nobody at all, yeah.
saying later to DeRozan. So I understand what you're saying there. K2's Garnett says most clutch player in the league, missed a free throw on purpose for that dramatic finish.
Oh man.
My homegirl Sue just chimes in and says, OMG Sheldon, with a whole bunch of exclamation marks, all caps. I mean, hey, I sat there and just screamed and like banged on the damn furnace for like 3 minutes. And it was I'm losing my voice. We got to do a podcast.
And you know what? And when you watch, even when you watch Kawhi's reaction when the shot goes off and he's kind of down looking, like even he thinks it has a chance. Yeah. And I just, oh man,
the picture of him screaming.
Yeah,
like you don't really see that emotion from. But I mean, how could you not? Like at least right. Like,
I think I've watched most, if not all, of those mic shots that you keep seeing.
Yeah.
Kobe's shots. Kyrie Irving shots, Steph. That was one of the the greatest shots I've ever. And not just because it's the Raptors doing it. I just don't see how you make that shot over a nimble 7-footer.
Yeah,
being chased around the 3-point line, and just the way it hits the rim and the spin on the shot.
Yeah,
it just.
Because you have to remember, too, Embiid already got one shot off his head top in game 4, was it? Where Kawhi kind of like lulled him to sleep, just took the step back to get his airspace and get the shot off, right? The fadeaway 3 over Embiid, right? So he's already done that. So Embiid knows, no, I'm chasing him out. And Kawhi's kind of dribbling, and at that point, again, he's just getting to his spot. And I know it sounds so simple to say, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he just had to get to his spot. And he kind of knew, like, oh, damn, Embiid's, like, still right beside me. Okay, I got to push hard and get that and fade and get the art, like, to process all of that.
and Embiid hit him on the wrist. Watch the replay.
Ooh, I got to check that out. I haven't seen the replay, so you're saying that should have been an and one?
So it's not even like you got full extension. Like, Embiid hits him here, and he...
Oh,
listen. And again, when you're talking about there's 4 almost All-Stars, you got to remember that for most of this series, he didn't get much help.
No, not at all.
There was times where he was hitting elbow jumpers over 3 defenders. Not 1, not 2, but 3 defenders.
I'm just here watching the replay right now, right? Just because I can't.
Like the ball stopped bouncing and just rolled in.
Oh my god. What a time to be alive, like for real. Someone on Instagram says, ha 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 ha, load management. Hey, I'm not one to do this, but there are multiple times where people are arguing with me so hard during the year about load management. I was like, listen, if Kawhi doesn't show up in the playoffs, I'm here for all of your arguments. But if he cooks, load management is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
The greatest thing ever. Oh, man. Rock DTV says, this is why we watch sports. Totally true. Underdog's Mindset says, I'm shook. It's funny how history repeats itself, but on a different timeline. Some Austin says, shouldn't have come down to that, but what terrible calls, but wow, what a shot. I know we didn't really talk much about what happened in this game, like in terms of like a breakdown of like how this game went. But it was a really like ugly, old school playoff. Just like every possession, you're kind of like hanging on to every single possession. Just like there were like blows, right? Like there were swings that came here and there. But at the same time, like it was so close. The tension was crazy. I didn't like that feeling at all because I wasn't confident, because the reason I wasn't confident was because the Raptors offense was just standing around and watching Kawhi.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you do that for the whole second half? Basically, I didn't think that would work for the whole second half. But Kawhi proved me wrong. He's that good of a player. And I'm going to remind people, the Sixers are that good. And the reminder that basketball is a game of matchups is going to be this Bucks series. Because everyone's already going to say, oh, the Bucks, they play so well, blah, blah. But this series alone should show you that it's a game of matchups. And the Sixers were almost able to win this series off of talent and being able to have so much create so many matchup problems for the Raptors. Right. That's how the Sixers were able to create, such difficulty to take it to 7. When you look at the Bucks, and I don't want to do this too much, we'll probably do like a preview pod at some point, but when you look at the Bucks early, I think like Norm and Fred have a much better chance at contributing in that series. Yep. Kyle will have some tough time because we know George Hill gives him a bunch of fits, but I feel like Danny Green will be better served. Siakam will be better served in that series, and nobody can stop Kawhi. Nobody can probably stop Giannis, but that's going to be a great superstar battle. So that's amazing, but I don't even really want to talk about the Bucks right now because what Kawhi just did is absolutely amazing. I need to get to more comments just because I want to shout you guys out for tuning in and commenting and rocking with the show. Derek on Instagram says, looking forward to hear Skip Bayless's quote, number 2 ain't clutch take tomorrow. Keep up the great work, gentlemen. I'll catch the pod in the AM. Shouts to that, Derek. I don't know Derek personally, but I'd like to thank him for the plug because so far I haven't said, hey, shouts to the people on Instagram and on Twitter rocking with us live. But if you are unable to catch up to the podcast live, just know it ends up going online on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and on YouTube. Just search On Blast Podcast, and you'll be able to find this, the Wrap It Up Pod. It'll be up there for you in the morning. I'm probably up late night tonight. I mean, I'm on such a high right now. I don't know what I'm about to do after we end this podcast, but I feel like the Six might be on a wave tonight.
Oh, definitely. Sunday night in the Six.
Oh, I can't believe that, man. I was so excited for Kawhi Leonard this season. I've been saying enjoy this ride. It's been incredible, but damn, that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in terms of, I don't know, I'll leave it to someone else to try to rank the moments in Toronto sports and all that. Someone smarter than me that's not thinking about it, like in the heat of Kawhi hitting that shot.
Yeah.
But that's just incredible. We're watching one of the greatest players in whatever sport to play in the city of Toronto for sure. He's shooting that. And whatever they need to give him, you hand him whatever he wants. Whatever, parking space for your moms, go to whatever graduation, whoever you want to be, the assistant coach, whatever you want. Doesn't matter.
I would fly him to California every night. He can sleep in Cali, spend all his off nights in Cali, as long as he shows up to the games in Toronto.
Cool, right? Instagram feed's about to go down in a bit, but I'll just get to some more comments. Yes, the refs were bad, but I love that the Raps kept playing hard. It's very true. Yeah. Fought through it.
I've been saying Tony Brothers needs to he needs to be stopped at the border. Stop letting him into the country. Anytime he's scheduled to ref a Raptors game, passport denied.
Someone else says, best game ever. Kyle said it right. 2001, Vince missed. 2019, Kawhi hit it. Superstar. I mean, I don't know. Austin points out that the Raptors shoot 23% from 3, but Serge shoots 60% and has some huge threes. That's why Game 7s are amazing.
Big up to Serge, man. Serge balled out tonight.
Shouts to Serge. Oh, man. Kat Libby says, my blood pressure can't take it. Holy crap. More comments. Kawhi in his post-game press conference said, I shot the ball and it went in. Close quote. What would you expect from Kawhi?
Yeah.
Yes. That's so amazing. Beals joins in and he just says, bruh. Oh my God. I don't even know what's going on. This was a great moment. And this makes, honestly, Instagram people, you're about to log off, but tune in to the rest of the pod because I want to give you guys a huge, better shout out. And I'm not going to try to rush it in 10 seconds, Instagram people. So tune in, but we'll continue the pod. I do want to say something though. We did this as a test run last year, right? In the playoffs, just to see can we do some post-game shows? And we did it during the second round against the Cavs. And, the feedback was pretty cool. There were people that liked it, and it made me think about, is this something that we could do this season?
Yeah.
And I still wasn't sure. And I thought, man, it'd be kind of tough to do every single game. And is every game going to matter? And then the Raps traded for Kawhi. And I was like, whoa, the stakes of this season just went up tenfold. And I want to say something in total honesty and total truth. Like, thanks to the people that really tune in and enjoy the show as much as they do. And because they really are the ones that make the show, right? Like
Yep,
the
definitely.
comments on YouTube when people are rocking with us and letting us know, because I've always said it from the beginning. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're right. We're just here for the conversation. And there are people that we go back and forth and
Yep.
debate on stuff. And I enjoy that so much because sometimes we get blinded into thinking that there's not enough of an audience here for the Raptors fans. And it's like, who cares about that number? Let someone else worry about that. The point is, we know that there's an audience there, so let's create something to rock with those people.
Right.
Because now, especially that it's conference finals, and now that this shot's going to be on looped on every single channel for the next 48 hours,
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to jump on the Raptors wave now.
Yeah.
So I want to shout the day ones that have been rocking with us, just because, hey, we're here to talk about the fan perspective, how we're feeling after every games, and just take things in like that. We're not really trying to break down stats.
Yeah.
I'll try to give you stats to, like, you know, form opinions and stuff
Right.
like that, but I'm not trying to be the professor. I'm not trying to, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like the thing about this show, what I like about being here is that these are conversations we have anyway,
Exactly.
right?
Totally.
So this is just us having these conversations, but getting everybody else's input.
Exactly. It's just I made the joke early on this season about how it's taking the group text and turning it
Yeah.
into a podcast.
Exactly.
And now we've just made the group text a massive group text because there's literally thousands and thousands of people tuning into each and every episode. And I can't say that's something that I thought would have happened because I never really set out with a goal in terms of like, this is how many people I want to watch it. Like,
Right.
I don't care what the numbers get to. I care about that people are here to talk about the Raps because I want to talk about the Raps. And I've always felt that for facts, really, whenever something like this would happen, how are we served? Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to hear from the people. I want to know what the people think. I want people to just be honest about that was a crazy shot. That was incredible without being buttoned down or having to think about, you know, being the
Right.
professional, whatever. Like the Raptors, like basketball in this country matters a lot. Like even if you take away the fact of what the Raptors are doing and what's happened so far, go back and think about Jamal Murray, a kid from Kitchener,
Yeah, exactly.
was just balling out in a game 7 trying to take his team to the conference finals. Like that's crazy when you really think about it. Just how basketball has developed in this city and in this country. And so it's an honor and a privilege. It's a long-winded way of me saying this is an honor and a privilege to have all these people rocking with the podcast the way that they have throughout the season. And man, I know I've been saying it the whole time about enjoying this. Kawhi made it a lot easier for us
Oh,
to
definitely.
enjoy. Oh my
Definitely.
gosh.
I mean, we'd all be fooling ourselves if we weren't real nervous going into this game, right? I was nervous going into the fourth quarter.
Dude, I was nervous the whole entire way.
So, I mean, yeah,
Like, to be honest, when he checked the ball out and there was 4 seconds left, Raps called timeout, I was so nervous. I don't even think we said much while it was leading up. Because
No.
I didn't want to be like, oh, who should get the ball? What kind of shot should it be? What's going to blah, blah, blah. Like, we didn't even really, like, I was like, yo, I wonder if Kyle will shoot the ball. Right? Like, I said that, but it wasn't like, we weren't really talking. Because it was kind of just like, oh my God, is this a thing? Like, are they going to win on a... Oh my God, he hit the shot. Like, it's just so incredible. And yes, this is
when
why we
that
love
shot
sports.
when that shot left his hand, I was ready for overtime. I was like, okay,
I was like, wow, he got that. That's a high arcing shot.
yeah. I thought we were going to overtime.
Oh man,
I'm
that was incredible, man.
still puzzled. I'm hyped, but I'm puzzled as to how you make that shot.
I wish I was as calm as Mike here on Twitter, who says, I was never worried. We've got the best player. I mean, shouts to you, Mike.
Hey.
Maybe I should have talked to you before the
Yeah, I
game.
guess
I
so.
appreciate that. Another comment. The Bucks have 3 7-footers. Again, I'm gonna let tonight settle. It'll be hype about what happened tonight because that is the best moment in Raptors franchise history, right? Like that goes without question.
Definitely.
Kawhi, I thought we were already at that point, but I think right now Kawhi just set the tone as being the best Raptors player ever in franchise history. That was the best playoff performance. Like never seen anything like that. And you were talking about this earlier, right? Like if it was another uniform, like if he was on and like if this was just another game,
Yeah.
like NBA game that we were watching, how crazy would we be going? Oh, LeBron. Of course LeBron. LeBron's recruiting. LeBron's recruiting.
D Wade says you got the juice now.
Yo, this is crazy. There's a bunch of tweets going on right now. Donovan Mitchell says, "Are you serious right now?" Luka Doncic just Kawhi with the fire emoji. LeBron just the claw and a bunch of exclamation points. The whole NBA world is really out here just watching that. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about the NBA because again, to talk about what Kawhi Leonard did in this series, like right now we can't even fully put it into perspective, but there's not much more that he can do. And I'm going to say this going into the Bucks series so that it won't be hindsight.
Right.
Regardless of what happens in that Bucks series. I'm being dead honest with this. Regardless of what happens after this moment with Kawhi Leonard, I will not listen to arguments about whether this was a success. I'm not going to have that argument with anybody. I'm not, because whatever happens against the Bucks, if they lose that series or if they make it to the finals, whatever, then people like I'm in this moment right now. That was worth it. That was the greatest playoff performances that will go up there in NBA history in the playoffs.
Definitely.
And he did that against, as you mentioned, like 4 All-Stars. He locked down Jimmy Butler whenever he was guarding him in Game 7 and Game 1. Eliminated Ben Simmons out for the games in between. And put
dunked on Embiid's head top, 2-3 times in the series?
Dunked on Embiid's head top and wet 2 shots over Embiid. Like playoff performances, I don't know. I'll wait and hear what people have to say about where that ranks in terms of all-time playoff performances. But what's the list of players you take over Kawhi Leonard right now? Because, I mean, right now, KD has an Achilles or a calf strain, whatever they want to call it. I'm not taking Steph Curry over Kawhi Leonard, so you can miss me with those arguments. So we're talking Giannis and LeBron. And, I mean, LeBron's not even LeBron right now. Like, that's not really kind of fair to LeBron, but that's probably a conversation.
There's no one else. Giannis, KD, LeBron.
That's it.
LeBron. And LeBron's not in the playoffs.
No. So again, Toronto Raptors fans, I've been saying this and now it's come to fruition. Enjoy this, man. Enjoy this year of having Kawhi Leonard because this is amazing. This has been so good. This is what load management has been for. This is what the trading of DeMar DeRozan has been for. This is what Coach Casey being let go has been for, because I've always wondered what Casey's thoughts would have been about load management. And I don't think Casey's a load management kind of guy. No. So like, all of these things, like the way that it worked out, I don't know if Masai plotted it out for it to go this well, but he might be a better writer than the people writing Game of Thrones. Because, like, yo, man, like, this couldn't have worked out any better for Masai Ujiri. No, this is incredible. No. Even add in the fact of making the midseason trade to get Marc Gasol for this series against Joel Embiid, because that's blatant. That's basically why you got him.
Yeah.
And then JV got hurt again anyways.
Yeah.
Right? Like all of these things, the way that it's played out for Masai Ujiri. And also, hey, I was on board of the whole rumors of Anthony Davis and trading Siakam and all that. Obviously, holding on to Siakam has proven to be the right move so far as well. Man, Masai, whatever he wants, MLSE, whatever he wants. Give him the blank check, give him the bag.
Yeah.
Let him be the president of the Leafs too. Like whatever it takes.
Whatever works. Whatever works.
Takes. Man, my voice is about to round out, so I got to wrap up this podcast. But before we get to that, Q, where can the people hit you up in between the next series? As the Raptors are in the conference finals for the second time in franchise history. I haven't even said that for the whole podcast. I didn't even mention that. They won a Game 7 to advance to the conference finals. Oh my goodness, Q, where can the people hit you up, man?
Yeah,
where can they find you on social medias?
Yeah, on all social platforms. I'm at
Yes,
sorry, I'm still.
Oh man,
Toronto. We're not used to being in this position, right?
No,
so it's just
true.
Man. Anyway, Instagram, Twitter, simply_just_Q, simply just Q. You can catch me. Holler at me anytime. Yeah. Anything you guys want to know, want us to talk about on the podcast, let me know.
Yeah.
Also, if you see right here, DDS caps. We're always repping DDS caps. Stuff still in stores. We're in a new store. It's a gallery on Dufferin Street.
Yeah.
Go to ddscaps.com or at ddscaps on all social media platforms.
Yeah.
If you Kawhi, man, it's just
Yo,
Kawhi.
I can't even lie to you. I'm waking up tomorrow morning and I'm going to a New Balance store. I'm not even making that up. I'm not even making that up. I'm waking up tomorrow and on my way to work, I'm going to the New Balance store on the Danforth. Yo, it's a...
Caught me a sweater. I want that Kawhi sweater.
I don't even think they have the Kawhi sweater. I really don't.
Fun guy sweater?
I'm going to walk in and be like, yo, how do you guys not have a Kawhi Leonard gear at all? If you guys don't have any Kawhi Leonard gear, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like, your district manager should be fired immediately on the spot. But secondly, I'm just going to buy a New Balance hoodie to rock. And it was funny. We were joking around about it last week at work when the Fun Guy shirt came out.
Yeah.
And then later on, I was at Main Station. I was waiting for Dwayne. And all of a sudden, I see this kid walk by, and he's just wearing the black with the white writing New Balance hoodie. I was like, yo, man, that's the power of Kawhi right now. Kawhi has men's rocking New Balance. Yo, the Joe Budden podcast, which I think is the best thing out. They were talking about it a couple weeks ago, and they're like, yo, man, I knew Kawhi was good, but I didn't know Kawhi was that good. And Maul's like, yo, you ever see anybody ball in New Balances before? And he's like, no. He's like, that's exactly my point. Right? Like, everything about this is completely insane.
I'm still speechless, man.
I'm speechless. My voice is about to go.
History.
Yeah. I think the point you made about Toronto, I mean, we have the bat flip in recent memory. You know, that was amazing. That was incredible. But that was kind of like the wave because the Jays hadn't really been there in a while. You know what I mean? So it was like, man, we're in the playoffs. We don't even really know what this feels like. So it was kind of like a happy to be here kind of moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like this is like the expectations, you want to make the finals for sure. You want to make the conference finals. So it's like, there would be a bit of disappointment if they lose at this point. There's no like, oh, happy that we're here in a game 7.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time, right? Kenny Smith always says, basketball sometimes is a simple game. My best player versus your best player. Yeah. That's what the playoffs are about. LeBron kind of started an argument on Twitter after the Portland game because he's like, that's why analytics are ruining. Or like, I'm paraphrasing, but he's saying like, that's why analytics is so dumb because – you know, CJ McCollum was just cooking with the mid-range jumper, and they tell you, well, mid-range shots are not good.
Yeah.
And so it just goes to show you that the playoffs are just a different ball game altogether because possessions are so valuable, and it's just my best player versus your best player. Can you get a shot? And some players want the smoke. Some players want the moment, and others don't. And we watched a Raptors team that was afraid of LeBron James for multiple years. Right? They didn't mentally believe that they could beat LeBron James. Yeah. And you have Kawhi Leonard, and early on, before the game started, I tweeted, this is why Masai got Kawhi Leonard. I tweeted that before the game started. And, I mean, Kawhi wants to smoke.
Yeah.
He wants to smoke. And it's incredible because the whole year I had to remind myself, and it's why on the podcast I kept saying, hey, guys, enjoy this season. Because it's very rare that you get to watch one of these guys perform at such an elite level on your team in the game of basketball. Like the Raptors haven't had that. We've been selling ourselves on shouts to DeMar and Kyle, but we maximized the level that they were able to get to. Right. And huge shouts to them. But like Chris Bosh, same thing. But in terms of top tier, like you're talking about one of the top 3 best basketball players in the world. Right now, plays on the Raptors.
And he just sent Joel Embiid off the court. Off the Scotiabank court.
Arena court. Looked like he was crying.
Tears. He was in tears.
I haven't seen the actual tears.
He was in tears. I seen it. I just seen it. He was in tears.
I mean, his stat line tonight probably saved him from getting crushed.
Yeah.
His stat line tonight probably saved him from getting crushed a lot more than he probably deserves because he had a couple no-shows in this series, and I don't think he played that well for the majority of the series. But, I mean, to go down like that, I will say, as much as I enjoyed mocking Embiid because of the foolishness that his antics that he was doing all year, seeing him like crunched over like that, like that's a tough way to lose. Yeah, that's a tough way to lose for anybody because there's nothing you could do better on that play. Nothing, not at all. But on the flip side, what a time to be alive, Raptors fans! Huge win for the Toronto Raptors as they advance to the conference finals for the first time since 3 years ago against the Cavs, however long ago that was. 3 years ago. But I mean, we didn't really think the Raps had a chance in that series. Not really. I mean, they ended up making it 2-2 at a certain point, but you go into this series thinking you have a legitimate shot at making the NBA Finals. The stakes have never been at this point for this Toronto Raptors franchise. Enjoy it. Enjoy this run, because I've been saying it all year. You got to enjoy it because this is the best season in franchise history, and we're watching the best player in franchise history do what he does. And this game alone encapsulated all of that. So enjoy that. I know we went a little longer than we normally do, but I feel like people might be okay with that. Just enjoying this moment of Toronto Raptors basketball. That was incredible to watch. My voice is probably going to be shot all day because I'm probably just going to continue screaming after this game ends because I want to like watch it again and watch all the post-game stuff.
Man, you got to analyze that shot, man. Just put it in slow motion and just watch the ball.
It was crazy.
And ask yourself, how did you go in?
Basketball gods, man. Basketball gods. Basketball gods, I will say this much. I don't think the basketball gods liked Embiid celebrating in Game 3.
No, I don't think so.
Right? But, hey, it's a story for another day. Maybe Embiid and Ben Simmons and them go back and they learn from this. Or maybe their team gets blown up because who knows? But either way.
Well, they're another one. They better give Jimmy the bag because he's the best player.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, shout to you guys, Raptors fans, as I'm seeing pictures of Jurassic Park on my TV right now. Shout to you guys, Raptors fans, because you guys deserve this. You guys have been a tortured fan base for a long time. A lot of tough, depressing losses being handed out to this Toronto Raptors team over the last few years. So you guys deserve this. And I'm so happy for the diehard Raptor fans that have been watching every game, every year, trying to talk themselves into beating LeBron, trying to talk themselves into Andrea Bargnani, talk themselves into TJ Ford. Like, hey, I've been there, right?
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Talk themselves into
Yeah.
Chris Bosh.
Right.
All those years, watching Rafael Araujo be a starter on this team, right? The Chris Humphries era. Like, there's been a lot of things. And all of that led to this. If you think about that Vince Carter shot to now, all the things that have gone on in Toronto Raptors land, this moment right here is what it's all about. And that is
if we don't draft Andrea Bargnani first overall and Araujo first, maybe we never get to draft DeRozan, then we can't trade DeRozan for Kawhi.
All of these things.
It was all part of the plan.
It's all amazing. It's all incredible. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in and rocking with us on the Wrap It Up podcast, which, as always, we do live after each and every Toronto Raptor game on Twitter live. We take your comments and questions on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander, and then we repackage it. We add some music. We put it up on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and on YouTube. Just search On Blast Podcast, and you can find this, the Wrap It Up Pod. I'm going to go console my guy, Andrew Webster. I'll send him a little bit of a text. I didn't want to call him. That's unfair. I'm not going to call him right after that game. That's a tough loss.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. That's unfair. But we will tune in because we'll do a preview into the conference finals. I'll figure out a time where I'll do that with Webby, so look for that in the future, coming soon to your earbuds near you. We'll do a episode of the Ball on Blast pod. But again, huge shouts to you guys, the fans, because I've enjoyed this season so much because I've been able to enjoy it with all of you guys. And I've been saying to enjoy it and putting all that positive energy out there because moments like this, I really did used to pray for times like this to rhyme like this. It's not just a saying, folks. It's real spit. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.